Hi, this is Mike Lowry from themikeLowry.com. Here today to do a little video blog on the Dennis Wideman incident. Pulled this video up on YouTube via sportsnet.ca. First, I'm just going to show you a clip pretty much in its entirety, talk about a couple things as it's going, and then kind of dissect it from there and let you know my thoughts on it. So as you can see, the play's coming up the boards. The ref gets hit just prior to the play coming near the red line. Linesman's obviously visibly shaken, gets up, seems to be doing pretty good. Wideman here looks like he's struggling more so than the linesman. There's the initial hit. Wideman skating, slams his stick, disbelief, and bam, hits the linesman. On first take, everyone that's sitting at home wants to get in the head of Dennis Wideman. Everyone wants to say that he's an NHL player. He could have got out of the way. I don't know about you, but I've never been hit by an NHL player, especially sending me headfirst into the boards. It's since been found out that both the linesman and Wideman both suffered concussions on this play, obviously at different times. However, anyone with slight medical background knows that symptoms of a concussion can be blurred vision, dizziness, nausea, vomiting. Now, I've heard people say that Wideman looked like he was skating fine and he had his head up the whole time and he should have been able to see the linesman. Wideman's, probably around 30 years old. So he's probably been on skates for about 25 of those 30 years. I'm sure if you blindfolded the guy, he could find his way back to the bench. The guy's been in the league for a while. He's been playing hockey his whole entire life. He's obviously not only a good defenseman at the top level possible, he's been around the game. I mean, plain and simple. If we take it back from the start, we can kind of piece together everything that happened with the actual hit. There's no denying the fact that Wideman got laid out. There's no denying that whatsoever. When we actually look back at what happened, we can kind of get a little bit of a different story. We can see here Salamaki, I believe, from the Predators comes. No problem with this hit on Wideman. I mean, he finishes his check. No worries. That right there, I mean, that's pretty blatant. Wideman's off of his feet and striking the glass with his head just above the dasher. Pretty sure that's going to make him feel a little dazed. As we can see, the play's coming up this side of the boards, the strong side of the boards. It's going to go all the way down in a Nashville zone. It's actually going to stay on this side, and the linesman in question, who I believe you can't really see him, but I think those are his legs, and he's sitting up on the boards because the play is coming towards him, is going to go down to the blue line, and as he's making his way back to this blue line, that's when Wideman's going to come up and make contact with him. Wideman gets up, and he's doubled over. At this point, I'm thinking that he's feeling it. He does make an effort after adjusting his helmet to skate back to the bench, but for a good 2 seconds, even 3 seconds, he's basically doubled over. Now he's skating to the bench like most hockey players. They don't like to lay on the ice. They take pride in that. They try to get themselves back to the bench. We notice that now he's upright. This is the point where he actually bangs his stick, and what people say in disbelief, he's pissed. Okay, once again, you have no clue what's going on in his head. Now he's skating. Everyone says, oh, okay, look, I know everything about hockey. I know everything about medicine, and he's skating perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with him. Now we see the linesman in question come into play. He's going to make his way backwards. Wideman is going to then make contact with him right around the red line here. As we get here, Wideman puts his stick up. Here's what's going on right before that. Wideman possibly sees this guy jump off the bench. This guy, everyone on the bench is looking down here except for this coach. I don't know what he's doing. Wideman knows that he's got to get off the ice. That's his line mate who's changing. Puts his stick up to brace himself. Obviously, the linesman, has no idea that Wideman's going to come hit him. Now that, to me, Wideman's got a slight bend in his right knee. His left leg is fully extended. Prior to that, Wideman was pretty much standing straight up. If he intentionally hit this linesman, You would think that he would have probably bent his knees and drove through him. The interesting thing that I notice here is as he's hitting him, I don't think he extends his arms. I don't think he drives through with his legs. And as a matter of fact, right here, when he initially made contact, most guys would have forced their momentum. If he was intentionally doing it, probably would have taken him over the back of the ref, or at least, made him stop and have to swoop around. This, as he makes contact, it's almost like he slides off to the right of him. As he's sliding off to the right, the ref obviously, or the linesman obviously goes down. We see this guy come into play. We all know hockey's a fast sport. In a matter of 1 second, that play is right where he was. If he can see, if his eyes aren't blurred, like the majority of the people that want to bash him say, then obviously he could see the play coming. And obviously he knew he needed to get to the bench. He put his arms up to brace himself from the linesman that was skating backwards, and he tried to roll past the linesman and try to stay out of the play. People want to say, okay, in this instance right here, why didn't he stop? Why didn't he render some aid? Why didn't he seem to care? Once again, we have no clue what he was thinking. All we know is that he took a pretty devastating hit, about 10 seconds prior to that. So in the span of 10 seconds, all this occurs, and yet people want to just throw the book at him, want to call him a thug, want to call him a goon. I don't think it was intentional. I think the NHL made a mistake, and I hope they reduce the punishment. Not only is he getting suspended for essentially a quarter of the season, but he's also losing pay for that, which he's out a quarter's worth of pay. I think the NHL really needs to take a look at this. I don't think Wideman has really any prior history. He's not a Raffi Torres or a Marty McSorley or a Dale Hunter. Those names that I just threw out, those guys got suspended roughly the same amount of games. Raffi Torres got suspended 21 games for a blatant hit to the head of Marian Hossa, causing him to leave on a stretcher. Marty McSorley got banned for a calendar year for swinging his stick and intentionally hitting Donald Brashear. And last but not least, something we should all think about is Todd Bertuzzi got 20 games for jumping an opponent that didn't want to fight him, sucker punching him in the back of the head, and driving his face into the ice. Should that have been more? Probably. If you want to go along the same lines as some of those incidents, we should probably take another look at this and see if we really want to throw the book at this guy. I don't think this was intentional like McSorley, like Torres, like Matt Cook, who got 15 games a few years back, like Todd Bertuzzi. None of those guys had taken a hit directly to the head prior to their decision, yet Dennis Wideman is getting basically the same treatment. Sure, the NHL Board of Player Safety has changed, but still, come on. 20 games, a quarter of the season. Feel free to leave any comments, concerns, questions. Pretty much summed up how I feel about the whole thing. There's no need to really hash it out anymore. I think he was trying to steer clear of the play, trying to steer clear of the linesman, got his hands up, and I think he was a little dazed when it was all going on. But that's just me, and unfortunately for Dennis Wideman, I don't make the rules for the NHL player safety. So there you have it. That's my take on the Dennis Wideman 20-game suspension. Let's hope the NHL opens up their eyes, maybe reduces that. I could live with a 5-game suspension. I don't think it needs to be any more than that. Maybe a $20,000 fine on top of it or something like that. I'm Mike Lowry. You can follow more of my blogs at themikeLowry.com. Follow me on my Facebook page at Mike Lowry, and also follow me on Twitter at @TheMikeLowry.